Before we move into the full story of genetics, it would be good for us to take a look at meiosis in review. We already learned about meiosis and what that process does, but we're going to jump back and take another look at it just so you understand what's going on when genetics or when inheritance is occurring. Remember that parents can produce many types of offspring. Families have resemblances, but no two people, even identical twins, would be exactly alike. Every cell has a nucleus. In that nucleus, you find chromosomes. The number of chromosomes that a nucleus has depends on the species. For example, humans have 46. You can also see that chimpanzees and potatoes both share the same number of chromosomes at 48. Chickens have 78 chromosomes, frogs have 26, and pea plants have 14. Homologous pairs. Homologous means matching pairs. Think of the prefix homo means the same. Every cell has 22 matching pairs of chromosomes. Every single cell in the body. However, there is one last pair of chromosomes. These are called the X and Y chromosome, and they determine the sex or the gender of the offspring. The picture in the next slide is a set of human chromosomes, and that set is called a karyotype. Again, chromosomes come in matching sets, which are called homologous pairs. You can see these chromosomes are similar in both shape and the pattern that gets made when the chromosomes are stained before this picture would have been taken. So you have 22 sets of homologous chromosomes, and then the last set is the X and the Y. The cells in your body have a complete set of chromosomes. So these would be liver cells, heart cells, lung cells, brain cells, muscle cells, all the other cells in your body have 2 sets of chromosomes, and those 2 sets match. This is called being diploid. Diploid, again, the chromosomes match each other, and there gives you a total of 46. Sex cells, however, sperm and egg, only have half the number of chromosomes. They have 1 set of chromosomes. These are called haploid, which gives them a total number of chromosomes of 23. We learned earlier that this is necessary because when the sperm from a male parent and the egg from a female parent combine, you don't want the offspring to have double the number of chromosomes. So the sperm and the egg each need to have only half the complete set. And again, here's a picture of diploid cells and haploid cells. Diploid means 2 sets. That would be in a normal body cell, muscle, heart, lungs, whatever. And haploid meaning half the set, or 1 set of chromosomes, and this would be in sperm and egg. What I'd like you to do is take a look at this representation of a karyotype over here. Find the homologous chromosome for these 3 chromosomes on the bottom. Remember not to go strictly by size. Look at the pattern on each chromosome. For example, chromosome A matches with chromosome 16. You can see that the pattern of light and dark bands matches. You go ahead and find the matching pair for chromosome B and C. Another way to say sperm and egg cells is to call them gametes. When gametes combine, the zygote, otherwise known as the offspring, gets half its chromosomes from its mom and half its chromosomes from its dad. The way to represent the number of chromosomes in any cell is by using the letter N. So each gamete has 1 N, meaning they have a haploid set of chromosomes. When those 2 combine through fusion or fertilization, you have the zygote, or the offspring, which then has 2 N. And then as the organism grows, the 2N continues, and when the adult organism makes sperm and egg, it would go through the process of meiosis to make the sperm or the egg, each with one N, or half the number of chromosomes. When sperm and egg meet, their chromosomes must match in order for the zygote or the offspring to develop properly. Take a look. So let's review some terms. Number 1, a matching set of chromosomes are called blank pairs. 2, egg and sperm combine to make a blank. 3, egg and sperm are both known as blanks. Number 4, a cell that only has half a set of chromosomes is said to be blank. And number 5, genes are located on blank. Moving on to the process that actually creates these haploid cells. This process is called meiosis. It's similar to mitosis, but it's going to produce 4 daughter cells, each of which are haploid. You can see mitosis starts out with 2N, or a diploid amount of cells, or of chromosomes. Replication occurs in the DNA. So in the middle of mitosis, the cell has 4N, and then the cell splits, giving each of the daughter cells 2N, or a regular number of chromosomes, 46 chromosomes. In meiosis, however, at the beginning you start with 2N, DNA replication occurs, you get 4N, and then when that first separation of cells occurs, each of those has 2N. But then an additional process, the process continues so that the cells end up each with one set of chromosomes, or that they are haploid. Oogenesis is the making of eggs or ovum. And you can see this is the same process we just started out with. In meiosis, you have diploid number of chromosomes, that splits, and then that splits again to get the haploid number of chromosomes. Or spermatogenesis, which is the making of sperm. Same process. In prophase 1 of meiosis, you also have something else occurring. In this phase, the homologous pairs are forming, so the pairs of chromosomes are matching themselves up. They're lining up, so to speak. In prophase 1, you also have chromosomes actually trading genes in a process called crossing over. Here you see a homologous chromosome pair. At the top and at the end, the ends swap. They actually get switched over at separation points, so that when these 2 chromosomes were to split apart, this one actually has a piece of its sister chromosome, and the pink one has a piece of its sister chromosome. Those are called recombined chromatids. Crossing over is important because it increases the number of possible gene combinations that any offspring could have. So here's a review of the steps of meiosis. You start with interphase, where the cell is going through its normal process. When it decides meiosis should occur, it goes through prophase 1, which is where crossing over happens. Metaphase 1, the sister chromosomes line up and then get separated or pulled apart in anaphase. In telophase 1, the cell splits down the middle and you have cytokinesis. Then the phases happen again. Prophase 2, things are starting to break down like the nuclear envelope. And here, instead of splitting matching sets of chromosomes, you actually split the chromosomes themselves in half. So in anaphase 2, those get pulled to the ends, and then in telophase 2, you end up with 4 daughter cells, each with half the number of chromosomes.
The cell prepares for meiosis just as it does for mitosis. But as the DNA condenses, each chromosome finds its homologous counterpart. These matching pairs of chromosomes hold equivalent genetic information, one set from mother and one from father. Next comes the first shuffle of nature's genetic deck. The two homologs trade genes in a process called crossing over. This forms new hybrid chromosomes. The spindles then place maternal and paternal chromosomes randomly on each side of midline. It is another shuffle that can lead to a host of different genetic outcomes.
Before we continue, crossing over increases the number of gene combinations, but so does what the video just said, where instead of putting all of the father's chromosomes on one side and all of the mother's chromosomes on the other, which would mean when they separated, moms would go to one side and dads would go to the other side, they randomly get mixed up in the middle. So when those sets of chromosomes split, you get a mix of mom and dad on both sides of the new daughter cells.
Finally, spindle fibers pull the homologs apart. This leaves the sister chromatids intact. With twice the amount of genetic information the cells will need, nature must cut the genetic deck in two. The second division produces 4 unique sets of chromosomes. Because they carry half the genetic information, we call these haploid cells. Many of them will mature into sperm and eggs, the reproductive cells called gametes.
Just as a quick way to help you remember what haploid and diploid mean, think haploid half, diploid double. Okay, that was a quick review of meiosis. Make sure when you answer the questions that you answer them completely. Make sure that you show complete sentences in the questions where I ask you to give me your own opinion or give me a brief summary. And when I do ask you to summarize, you don't have to give me word for word what the video is saying. Just give me an overview of what you learned.